I'm always trying to set goals. My latest goal, I'm trying to be less polite. You know? Because the world is not as polite as you're raised to believe it's going to be, you know? I don't understand why we accept that when you say thank you, people don't have to say you're welcome anymore. People have stopped. Now you say thank you and people give you a nod. Like, I want to stab you in the fucking ears if you do that shit to me. I do. I go, thank you. I go, did you not just hear what I just said to you, man? And you get like a follow-up nod. So now I skip it all. I just take shit and I go. I find rudeness everywhere. I think the rudest person in the world is a person that waits outside of a grocery store with a petition for you to sign. What a fucking asshole you are. They do that, and you know why that's a shitty thing to do? They're systematically trying to ruin your happiness. Because you're leaving the grocery store, and you're feeling what? You're feeling happy. You're like, oh, I got soy milk. It's going to be a good week. All right. Like, and then they stop me and be like, sir, can you look at this? I'm like, look at what? And they're like, do you want children to starve and die on the streets? And I'm like, now I do. Now that you just ruined my day, I do, yeah. I want you to die first, but then I want all of them to die. I say the opposite of whatever they're trying to fucking get me to sign. Like, this is to teach blind people how to do Shakespeare. I'm like, I hope they all go deaf first. And they're like, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking right. You're the asshole, not me. This is to end the war in Afghanistan. I go, I fucking love the war in Afghanistan. It's my favorite war. I hope it goes on for 1,000 years. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, that's right. I'm crazy. Remember my face and never ask me to sign shit again.
I'm a genius. I think outside the box. You ain't got all the answers, Sway. We didn't live or land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Sorry, I ran out of fucking Kanye West quotes, so I inserted a little Malcolm. Not that I'm equating Kanye West with Malcolm X, because obviously Malcolm X was an actual genius. He sacrificed himself for the good of his people. Kanye West, on the other hand, what has he done other than fucking figure out a way to make himself look like a bulldog? I don't know. I mean, I know that there's probably like 500,000 podcasts discussing Kanye West right now because of the remarks that he made about slavery being a choice. And, I'm not going to pretend like what I have to say is going to be profound. I do, obviously I don't agree with his statements. I think that they are ridiculous. There's a lot of people that are assuming he's doing this because he's got an album out, so he's doing anything he possibly can to sort of generate buzz. The problem with that scenario is that he doesn't, Kanye West is not the type of guy that needs to generate buzz in order to sell albums. People seem to genuinely appreciate his music, so I don't think it is all about attention. I think, honestly, what I believe it to be is that he's off his medication. I think Kanye West is bipolar. He goes through the high highs and the low lows, and we're in the midst of one of his manic episodes where he says and does a lot of crazy shit. This is actually kind of typical of bipolarism, or he could be I wouldn't say I was gonna say maybe he's schizophrenic, but he doesn't present as schizophrenic. But yeah, I fully believe that he's bipolar, and we're in the midst of his, one of his bouts of mania where he's gonna say and do a bunch of crazy shit, and he might actually believe that he's a fucking genius. He might actually believe at this point that slavery was a choice, even though that's absolute horseshit. He might believe Donald Trump is is a fantastic fucking guy. Until he hits the depression side of bipolarism, the low lows, and then he'll realize how fucking or maybe he won't. I mean, I have bipolarism. Bipolarism. I don't know. I'm bipolar 1. Except I don't experience the lows. I experience the fucking the mania side of it, but because I am well medicated, that is kept in check. But before I was medicated, I don't know. Have I ever said this on this podcast? During one of my most manic points in my life, I think it was like 19, 20, maybe 21. I don't know. I got to give you some fucking background, all right? So around this time, a girl that I was seeing and pretty, I'll just call a spade. I was in love with her, or I thought I was in love with her, because I thought I knew what love was at 19. But you really don't. I had been in a relationship with this girl for a few years, and it ended because of my craziness. I don't know. You like to blame people for why shit happens, but in retrospect, and with a medicated mind, I realized that, she probably should have left a lot sooner than she did. But, I was too fucking out of it to realize it at the time. But, there was that. I was really fucking, I was working at this job that had me working. Well, it wasn't even that I had to work. I was working probably like 10, 12-hour days and bringing work home. So, I was pretty stressed about that. My living situation was a little crazy. There's lots of shit going on. And, I was obviously in a fucking depressive state. And then I hit the fucking manic phase of it. After a few months of just being fucking, completely down. Like when you hit those lows, when you're bipolar, it takes everything in your power to not fucking kill yourself. And trust me, there was plenty of times where I was like, you know what, is any of this shit fucking worth it? What am I fucking doing here? But luckily I pulled through that. I went through my, through my fucking manic stage where I fucking was convinced that, oh God, this is fucking embarrassing. I was convinced that I was a messenger from God. Not that I didn't think I was like Jesus Christ or fucking, the Messiah or anything. I felt like, I don't know. God was talking to me or some fucking bullshit. It was completely fucking nuts. But what I do remember is during that time I said and thought a lot of crazy shit. I felt really, really good. Right? Like bliss. I've talked about in previous podcasts, probably 20, 30, maybe even 40 fucking podcasts ago, where I talk about I don't really experience joy. I really never have, other than when my kids were born. Other than that, I don't really feel I'm not depressed. I'm not fucking, mopey and sad or whatever, but I just don't feel like like joy. I don't like that is a total foreign fucking concept to me. I pretty much just feel kind of blah all the time. And I know that sounds really fucking sad, and get the fuck out of here. I don't need, I'm not looking for fucking sympathy over here. I'm perfectly fucking fine. All right. But during this fucking manic stage, I guess I mean, to me it felt like bliss, but what it actually was, or at least what I think it was I, for the first time in my fucking entire life, I was happy. And because I had never been happy before, I didn't, to me it just felt fucking insane, but I loved it, and I was just like, holy shit, I'm free. I feel good. I'd be sitting in fucking, like traffic where ordinarily I'd be losing my shit. I'm fucking happy as a fucking clam. Happy as a clam. How the fuck do people know whether or not a clam is happy? I don't know. That's a different fucking topic for another time when you guys feel like listening to some absolute fucking bullshit that really is a complete waste of fucking time. But anyway, so I remember feeling super fucking happy, but at the same time believing that I was a messenger from God and that I had all the fucking answers. And, I thought I was going to change the fucking world. Like I had this plan that I was going to write this fucking book that would eradicate fucking like racism and and all sorts of shit. I mean, it was fucking, it was out there. It was, fucking planetary. I was living on fucking Jupiter at that point. Then I got medicated because I mean, the weird thing about being bipolar is, even though I don't, other than that one fucking time, I don't usually have the severe depression sort of phase of it. Usually when I come off of like my manic state, I would just sort of be back to, sort of, what do they call it? Not borderline, but, I would be pretty much like how I am now, right? Just normal, not fucking sad or depressed, just, normal, right? But like what I noticed, at least with that experience, was that the manic phase doesn't last as long as the sort of blah fucking phase of it, at least for me. And I have a feeling that it's the same thing for fucking Kanye. And I'm not trying to compare myself to Kanye either. He obviously has stresses and shit that I wouldn't fucking understand. But because his craziness just seems to fucking come out of nowhere after, like long periods of really not hearing much from him at all. And if you do, it's really like, there it's nothing fucking crazy. It's just like, oh, hey, I'm fucking out with my with my plastic wife or whatever. So I have a feeling that this manic phase that he's going through is it could be short-lived. If he's not taking his medication, then it might go on a little bit longer than usual. I kind of feel like I'm almost positive. Like I would probably bet at least 3 of my fucking fingers and 2 of my fucking toes that Kanye West is bipolar or some degree of that, and he is off his medication. I would almost guarantee that that's what it is. And see, the problem with taking meds for some people is that you start to feel better. You start, things start to fucking even out and you start feeling good or whatever. And then you feel like, I don't really need the medication. And then you go off it. And then, a couple of weeks later, you're fucking talking, you're wearing a fucking Make America Great hat, and you're fucking talking about, slavery was a fucking choice and all of this fucking horse shit, and suddenly you're being persecuted for for thinking outside the box or whatever it is. I 100% believe that Kanye is off his meds, and that's what we're witnessing here. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with either um, pissed off at the shit that he fucking says, and there's no real sympathy whatsoever, or it leaves you in a state of, well, fuck, I feel bad for the guy because, he doesn't mean this shit he's fucking saying. It's the fucking brain, the chemicals in his brain are fucked up. He's obviously, decided that he doesn't need to take his fucking medication because, maybe he was just starting to feel, like life was okay, and that's, like I said, that's, God, this fucking podcast has turned really fucking dark, hasn't it? I don't know. I would bet that he's off his fucking medication. And because, this is what happens, right? Luckily, it doesn't happen to everybody. But, there have been times, even with me, like with my OCD and being bipolar, there were lots of times where, I'd feel like, okay, I feel good. I understand that when I start fucking getting all nutty, that it's all in my fucking head and all that stuff. You start feeling that way. And there's been a couple of times where I've decided to give it a shot, see what it's like without medication. And it's not, it's not a good fucking, it wasn't a good experience. It was enough, at least for me, to realize that, what, I don't think I want to get off my fucking meds. I know that there are people out there, my girl is constantly like, is there something else she can do or whatever? And, I know what it's like when I've gotten off my meds. So, I'm not willing to fucking risk it because I'm much happier knowing that, there's some degree of fucking normalcy in my life. But for other people, especially, within certain communities, there's a whole, not even within communities, it's within society, period. There's this fucking stigma about mental illness or being medicated, and lots of people fucking are convinced that if you take meds, you're not going to be yourself anymore. And, I want to fucking make fun of people to say that shit, but the reality is that they just don't understand. I'm no different than, I'm not a different person now that I'm fucking medicated. The only thing that's different about me is I'm not fucking, like stuck in a, fucking having to, I'm just not stuck in that fucking mental state, whether it's with the OCD or with the bipolar. I'm not stuck, I can function, I'm not flying off the fucking handle or, being so fucking upset with myself that, I want to put a fucking bullet in my noodle, like that's the only thing that's fucking different is I don't have those fucking feelings and thoughts anymore. So for me, being medicated has been fucking awesome. And, for those of you out there that are like, well, that are considering it, let me just, I've said it before on this fucking podcast, but one of the things that's important is that when you start taking meds, sometimes it takes a little bit to figure out which are the right meds for you. So if you're thinking like, oh, I'll just take a fucking, some Prozac or some shit, and I'll feel better. And if I don't feel better, then obviously this, obviously I don't have a fucking problem or whatever the fuck it is. I tried, or, my psychiatrist fucking had me taking, it took a few weeks to almost a couple of months before we sort of figured out like what's the right meds, the right dosage, and all of that. So if you do if you are considering fucking, being medicated, um, keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that, yeah, for like a week or two, not even two, like a week, yeah, you feel a little out of it because, you are changing the chemistry in your brain. So yeah, you're going to feel a little bit out of it. You're not going to feel like you're a different person or you're a fucking zombie or whatever. It's not going to feel like that, but you're just definitely going to feel very fucking out of it. And not like tired or anything like that. Just, like foggy, like your brain is a little foggy. Maybe maybe you think of things that you didn't, normally think about or whatever. But after that week or so, it goes away and you start to, even during that week, like, yeah, I felt foggy as fuck, but I actually started to feel a lot better. I started to notice that, I wasn't doing a lot of the things that, like, especially with the OCD with me. As I've mentioned on previous fucking podcasts, I'm not one of those. I don't have the type of OCD where I'm washing my hands 50,000 times a day or fucking, like I gotta be super fucking organized. I am organized, but it isn't because of the OCD. I can exist in a mess. It's not like I'm gonna go fucking insane if there's a mess somewhere. For me, I have, rumination, the rumination version of OCD. I do have some, I guess, rituals that that I feel compelled to do, although not as much now that I'm medicated. But other than that, it's really the rumination, which is basically like I'll get a thought in my head, right? And I can't move past that thought. Like to the point where it could be, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, where I'm still like, it's just the same fucking thought is stuck in my head on a fucking loop. And, and it's not like, oh, bananas taste good. It's not that kind of a fucking thought. It's more like, what's the point of life? Or, or just like, I don't know, something profound. Like I'll get stuck on that fucking thought and think about it, and I can't think about anything else except for that. To the point where I can't pay attention to anything. I'm basically fucking, this is pre-medication. I don't have that issue as long as I'm medicated. Now, I still have fucking weird thoughts, but I can push past them. I can be like, okay, that's just the fucking OCD. Just keep it fucking moving. It really isn't important that you fucking figure out whether or not the Dalai Lama is is a fucking psychic or not. It's not fucking important, so I can push past it. Pre-medication, I couldn't do it. And one of the things about OCD, and it's, god damn, have I been talking for 20 minutes about this shit? Well, this is what happens when you don't get any fucking sleep. For those of you, you're probably going to be, you probably hear this podcast, midday or whatever on, what day is it? Fucking Wednesday. I'm actually, I woke up like 4:30 or something. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I am fucking tired as fuck, but I can't fucking sleep, so I decided, hey, I'll fucking knock out a podcast, and then I'll have the rest of the fucking day. Well, not really, I got fucking work stuff, but whatever, it doesn't give a fuck, or it doesn't matter. What the fuck was I talking about? I don't know. I lost my fucking train of thought. But yeah, Kanye West is fucking, he either has bipolar, he's either bipolar and he's off his fucking medication, or he is just a huge fucking cunt. And it doesn't help, right? Because like I looked at his Twitter, people. When he made the Make America, that he's fucking all behind Trump and shit, like what was it, like last week or whatever, like I looked at his Twitter feed because I heard people were like his followers or he was losing followers in droves. And I noticed that during that time, he only followed one person, which was his wife. Now he's made this, black people or, slaves were fucking slaves by choice thing. I looked at his Twitter feed again. His following has picked back up, but he's now following 3 people. And one of those fucking people is this chick, Candace Owens, who, what I've noticed with African American people, with some, not all, obviously, but with some, it seems like, and I think it exists in every fucking ethnicity. It's not just, it's not just black people that have this issue, but I've noticed that with some black people, they get so, I think they get so upset at the worst of the group, the ones that end up, on the fucking news, that are, they rob somebody or whatever, or rappers or some shit. Like, they get so upset at those fucking, at those types, that they sort of, it seems like they almost start to fucking hate themselves to a degree. And then they start sort of adopting, pretty much the perspective of like racist white people. Like, they almost become racist against themselves to the point where they don't even really consider themselves African American. I mean, they don't, they obviously don't think that they're white, but they just, they feel like they're fucking somehow separate from the group, and it usually, the reason that they feel that way is because they have adopted that sort of, mentality that you see with racist white people that assume that, all black people are on fucking welfare, and the ones that are on welfare are, fucking lazy or whatever, and that, that there's some sort of like, like they're quick to say that black people are, using the race card and yada yada yada, usually, and almost every single time. I've never seen this, in the opposite spectrum, but every single time the black person that has taken on this sort of fucking perspective is Republican or conservative, like extremely fucking conservative, right? Like, it doesn't exist on the left. Like, you don't see that version on the left. You see it only on the right. And, this Candace, what is her fucking name? Candace Owens. Like, she's one of those people, like she's almost the version of, what's that fucking, the sheriff that wears the fucking cowboy hat that, obviously fucking hates himself because he's black. What the fuck is his name? Was it Sheriff, fucking David Clark, that guy that just always looks like he's fucking pissed. She's on that same level as him, or Ben Carson that fucking once said that Obamacare was like this fucking era's, or he said it was like Obamacare was worse than fucking slavery or some fucking horse shit, right? He's, she's on that level, and it just, I find it strange that Kanye West makes this fucking, this statement, this outlandish, ridiculous fucking statement that slavery was a choice, and it just so happens he's now following this Candace Owens lady that is definitely, she definitely dislikes her own people, I don't know. It's just, it fucking sucks, because, when you are bipolar and you're going through your manic stage, you have a tendency to sort of, attract or become fucking enthralled with other fucking crazy people. And I wonder how much of an influence his sudden fucking relationship with this lady, how much of that is being, sort of spurned, is that the right word? I don't know. Spearheaded, I don't know, by his association with her. I wonder. It is a bit fucking strange. Um, but I mean, last week he followed one person. This week he follows three. I didn't check out the other person. I saw that he was following this Candace Owens lady, and I was like, okay, it's starting to fucking make sense where that slavery was a fucking, it starts to make sense where that's coming from, because that's the type of shit she would fucking say, But I don't know. Are you fucking done? Or are you sick of hearing about this shit? Or I already am, and it just happened yesterday. I'm fucking, like, I don't like. I mean, I've never been a fucking huge fan of Kanye West. I think he is a fucking ridiculous clown that I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, I've listened to his music. It's. I mean, some songs are good. Most are kind of trash. I don't know why people are so fucking enthralled with the guy, but everybody has their taste, so I won't knock anybody for that. But I do think that he's a fucking jackass. I think that he married the right person, because because Kim and the entire fucking Kardashian weasel fucking creature clan are they're all just hungry as fuck, or thirsty, to use the fucking latest word, or, well, although I haven't heard anybody say thirsty in a while, so maybe I'm a little bit fucking behind the times here, but the entire fucking clan is a bunch of attention whores. I mean, I won't knock the fact that they've managed to build a fucking empire off of Kim Kardashian getting fucking dick down, but they are hungry for attention at all fucking times, so it makes sense that Kanye would want to be a part of that, because he is an attention seeker. But at the same time, I recognize he's definitely got some mental issues. He definitely needs to go back on his medication. Once he does, he'll go back to not being so, not being in such desire to fucking be in the spotlight, well, as much. And if he is, it won't be because he fucking thinks that fucking Trump is awesome or whatever. It'll be because he's just an attention seeker. Yes, it is a little strange that he has an album coming out that, that's when all this crazy shit comes out, or, where he starts saying all this crazy shit. But I think that, I don't think it's like coincidence, but I do think that probably when he is working on music, that's probably when, or when he's getting ready to, I don't know, start a new fucking project. I think that is usually when he goes off his medication, because maybe he's convinced himself, excuse me, that not only is he better, but maybe he's one of those people that actually thinks that he works better when he's not quite right in the head. There's lots of fucking weed heads that think that, that somehow smoking weed makes certain situations better. Which I don't know. I'm able to have as much fun not smoking weed as I did when I used to smoke weed. So a lot of that shit is just sort of in your head, but whatever. I mean, maybe that's why every time, and I'd be curious if somebody actually looked into it, like during Kanye West's most controversial times, was it like, does it correlate when with the release of an album or a new pursuit, like when he got into fashion or whatever, like it might be, there might be a fucking correlation there, and it might be that he feels like the only time he can be really creative and think outside that box that he's convinced everybody's living in is when he is not medicated and when he is going through fucking manic phases and shit like that. The only danger to that is maybe he's assuming that he's always going to hit, like if he goes off his meds, he's going to go through the manic phase, whereas it could end up going through the depression phase and he could, honestly end up fucking killing himself, so if there are people that are listening to him that are close to him and not just fucking fans, it would be in your best interest to fucking get him, back on his meds immediately, because he is one more fucking change in fucking behavior away from probably killing himself. And I mean, I don't care for the guy, but I don't want to, I don't want to see that shit happen, But anyway, goddamn, I've been talking about this shit for 35 fucking minutes. My bad. You want to talk about some other shit? Something a little less fucking deep than fucking suicide or believing you fucking speak to God. Let's talk about the DNC lawsuit. I talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, which was, I think, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. How the, Democrats are doing everything they possibly can to avoid actually recognizing the problem within their party. That's why they're fucking suing Russia, although I don't know how you sue a fucking country. And they're trying to sue Trump, and it's just like, there hasn't even been any fucking evidence other than the 13 fucking internet trolls that released fucking memes and shit. About 84% of those were after the election, but other than that, there really hasn't been any sort of substantial evidence. I'm not saying that Trump is squeaky fucking clean. I think he has a lot of dirty fucking business deals that are gonna be exposed, but this idea that him and fucking Putin colluded to, make him president. I mean, that's just, it's fucking ridiculous. It's asinine. And it's just the Democrats doing whatever they can to prevent, changing their fucking, their fucking stance as far as, being corporatist fucking sellouts. So, for those of you who are like, oh, what is this lawsuit about? It isn't about anything other than we're just going to fucking do whatever we can to stall. We're going to see how 2018 works out, that if this so-called blue wave happens, then we won't have to change shit. But if it doesn't happen, then, at least we can, keep furthering the fucking, the Russia fucking story. But I was on Twitter, surprise, surprise, and there was, these people discussing the so-called Russian influence on, voters, and especially with a lot of the Hillary supporters, they're absolutely convinced that progressives have been duped. That even though most of us, obviously I don't speak for everybody, but most of us based our decision to not vote for Hillary Clinton on her fucking history, not because somebody fucking put up a meme about kittens or a ridiculous one where it's like, you know, Hillary versus fucking Jesus or whatever. You know, this idea that we are so, like, we're incapable of having or making a logical fucking decision, that we must all be fucking mindless idiots. It's, you know, it's ridiculous, right? And a lot of these people that are Hillary supporters are convinced that Russia is the reason that they voted for, you know, whoever they fucking voted for besides Hillary Clinton. That's been going on now for like a year and a half, and I just have to add, you know, if I do have any Hillary supporters, that are listening to me that actually are convinced that you know, Russians were the ones that affected the outcome of the election, and not just the fact that Hillary is just a horrible fucking person. Have you ever tried, I don't know, actually talking to people and see like what influenced their vote? Have you ever just tried just actually talking to people? I mean, you know, a lot of them, you know, like on all sides, you know, whether it's the Hillary supporters or the Bernie Sanders supporters, you know, a lot of people like to bring out the fucking polls with the Bernie supporters. You see that one poll where it shows that, like, you know, by a huge proportion, African Americans, you know, voted for Bernie or prefer Bernie or whatever, you know, which I'm convinced is the truth. You know, yes, there are some, you know, African Americans sprinkled into the I'm with her crowd that are absolutely fucking convinced that Bernie Sanders is evil for wanting to, you know, provide health care for everybody, and wants to give, you know, wants to have fucking tuition-free college, and, you know, wants to end wars and build up our infrastructure. You know, for some reason they're convinced that he's absolutely fucking evil. But, you know, everybody looks at these polls, and one of these, this one lady that was on Twitter, she was trying to make her case based on a poll of like a few dozen fucking people. Like, she was trying to make the point that the only people that are Bernie supporters are white males, right? And it's supposed to be based on this poll that was taken of, you know, I don't know if it was like a few dozen, it might have been a few thousand, but, you know, you see this on all fucking sides, right? And the thing that I don't like about the use of polls in an argument is that polls are just by their nature fucking biased to one degree or the other. You know, very rarely do you see, you know, when people use these fucking poll numbers and shit, you don't see the parameters by which the information was collected, right? Like, you know, to play fucking devil's advocate for a second here. The poll that shows that African Americans are, you know, that a majority are behind Bernie Sanders. How was that information? Did they just? I mean, how was the information collected? Did they? I mean, because it had other ethnicities on the list. It wasn't just African Americans, but like, how was the information collected? Did they go into black neighborhoods and talk to people? Did they just, you know, or into, you know, Latin or white or whatever? Did they go into neighborhoods and collect this information? Was it like an online poll? Did they go to a university? You know, how was the information collected? It's very fucking important, because the effects you see will be based on the parameters in which they collected information. Now, to go back to this lady that's claiming that the only people that are excited about Bernie Sanders are white males, and the use of this poll, I have to question, well, okay, you know, again, how was the information collected? You know, in general, because, you know, America, the United States is primarily white people, right? You know, diversity, I mean, it's, it's getting more and more diverse, but, like I think black people make up like 13% of the population. I think, Asian and Latin people, they make up like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20%, maybe less than that. I don't know. But what I do know is that as a country as a whole, there are, Caucasians make up, a huge percentage of total population. So if you run a poll, even if it spans across states, the likelihood that the responses you're going to get are going to be more skewed towards Caucasians is high, right? Being that they make up about 70 to 80% of the population. It's not unusual to see fucking a poll be skewed that way based on the total population of the country. And of course, when I pointed this out, the lady fucking blocked me because that is the easiest way for a lot of people that, are just absolutely convinced that the way that they see the world is the only way or the correct way or whatever it is. But going back to my original question, man, this fucking podcast is the worst, isn't it? It's not even funny. There's nothing exciting about it. I don't know. But anyway, hey, I'll give you another one on fucking, tomorrow or Friday or some shit, and hopefully it'll be funnier. My question for the Hillary supporters out there that are convinced, that it's only white people that like Bernie, that people of color are all behind fucking Hillary or behind the Democrats, that are convinced that people of color are. Do I have people of color listening? Do you hate being called people of color? Because I honestly hate fucking saying it. Well, I mean, I'm a person of color. I'm not white. Fucking, I'm Filipino, Portuguese, and black. So, mostly Filipino. But I don't know, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, for those of you that are convinced that one way or the other that people aren't as progressive as you think, or that or if you are a person of color that you aren't for Bernie or whatever, maybe just try going out and talking to people, right? And ask them. And obviously it requires you to step outside your own sort of individual fucking echo chamber. Now, I know that, when people say echo chamber, they, they take that as an insult, and I get it. But that's the reality that everybody lives in, that I live in, that you live in, that everybody, we all surround ourselves with like-minded fucking people. That's just natural. That goes all the way back to, when we were fucking swinging from fucking trees. We figured out that we are better off as a group, and obviously in order to form a group, usually we have to have shit in common. We have to have a shared goal or a shared perspective or whatever it is. So it's not unusual for people to sort of live in an echo chamber of like-minded people. So in order to figure out whether or not Russia influenced anybody, you have to step outside your circle of like-minded people and ask others, why did you fucking vote for Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein or Trump instead of Hillary Clinton? Obviously, you have to talk to people that, didn't vote for fucking Hillary and just ask them. And I'm almost 100% guaranteed or sure that none of them will say fucking Russia. None will say that, oh, I saw some memes on fucking Facebook and that just completely changed my perspective on things. Most will give you a pretty regular fucking answer. And if you're capable of not just automatically dismissing what people say as though they're fucking morons, you might find the actual answer, and you might, and if you do find an answer, you might start to look at the DNC and the Democratic Party and their pursuit of this horseshit as being a little suspect. Because I don't know anybody, whether online or in real life, I'm very involved with my son's school and my daughter's school, so I'm not surrounded, just with people that I fucking associate with. I come into contact with lots of different fucking people. Not one person that's not a Hillary supporter. Not one person, as far as the conversation I've had is concerned about fucking Russia. What they're concerned about is the fact that fucking, they don't make enough to really fucking support their family, or, some are working multiple fucking jobs. So it doesn't help when you have the Democrats kind of fucking pushing back against a livable fucking wage. A lot are fucking, sick of the wars and the fact that we seem to have this unlimited supply of money to fight these wars and build more fucking bombs and missiles and shit that we don't need. But when it comes to anything that's beneficial to actual Americans, suddenly it's like, oh, how do we fucking afford that? There's people that, have kids about to go to college or that are college age, and they don't have any idea how the fuck they're going to pay for it. So it doesn't help when the Democratic Party is against tuition-free college, that is against, debt forgiveness. It doesn't help that, I don't know. Like a lot of the things that people are fucking upset about, the reason that they turned away from Hillary Clinton and went behind Bernie or got behind Jill Stein or for some reason got behind Donald Trump, it's because they're looking for actual solutions to their fucking problems. And they're not concerned about identity fucking politics where it's just like, oh, we had the black guy, so now we'll have a woman. And then the next time, maybe we'll have somebody trans or Asian or Latin or Middle Eastern, that is not a concern of most fucking people. People that are struggling, that are working, that have seen their fucking jobs shipped overseas because of things like NAFTA that, fucking Bill Clinton pushed through, that are fucking, at their wits' end as far as trying to fucking survive. These people they don't give a shit whether the person in charge has a dick, a vagina, or something else. They don't give a fuck. What they care about is their fucking survival, and the Democrats have done little to make anybody's life better. The only thing that they've done is they've managed to not make the country look like it's run by a bunch of fucking jokes. Everybody has such great respect for Barack Obama because he's so, well spoken and, and he's dignified and he's definitely like a statesman and all of that, and he gives a good fucking speech. But everybody ignores all of the shit that he was fucking doing when he was president. I almost said pregnant. Like the fact that he came in during the fucking, right before the economy fucking collapsed thanks to George Bush, and instead of fucking helping the people that actually needed fucking help, he bailed out the fucking banks. The very same fucking institutions that caused the financial collapse. He didn't help anybody. He deported more. I mean, I've said this a gazillion fucking times on this podcast, but he deported more people. He broke up more families than any other president combined. He dropped so many fucking bombs on Syria during his president that we actually ran out of bombs for a little bit. He fucking ramped up the drone strikes that Bush had started by like 9,000%. He expanded the 2 fucking illegal wars that we were in under George Bush and expanded those to 7. Maybe not 7 wars, but definitely 7 fucking conflicts that we are involved in. He expanded that shit. He made the Bush-era tax cuts permanent. He got rid of fucking habeas corpus. He fucking prosecuted whistleblowers. You know, the people that are actually trying to protect other people from, you know, evil fucking governments and companies that will do anything and everything that they possibly can to, you know, make as much money or whatever that they possibly can while, you know, sacrificing people to do so. He fucking I mean, the whole reason that Edward Snowden and that one girl that was a dude, I can't remember, Chelsea, I can't remember her last name, you know, Julian Assange and, you know, all of these people that were actually fucking trying to help. We're trying to expose what the government was fucking doing to people. He fucking prosecuted them. Which is why Edward Snowden is out in, I don't know where the fuck he's at. I don't know if he's in Russia or Japan or wherever the fuck he's at. And, you know, and the whole reason that Julian Assange is fucking has to hide out in a fucking embassy and Chelsea, I wish I could remember fucking, last name, you know, she was fucking imprisoned for, you know, how many fucking years and tortured because she exposed that, you know, she revealed that there were fucking, you know, people in the military that were committing fucking war crimes. He fucking prosecuted her. Now she's, you know, she's been released. You know, he wasn't a good guy is what I'm getting at. He wasn't a good fucking guy, and the things that he did actually hurt the fucking working people and the middle class and the poor. The things that he did actually hurt people. They did not fucking help him. So yes, he made a great fucking speech and he, you know, and he listens to Kendrick Lamar and he fucking plays basketball and once smoked a joint and admitted to it. Yeah, you know, he did all of that. But when it comes to what he actually did, you know, not just him, but Democrats in general, what they've actually done to help people, they've done nothing but fucking hurt people. And if you'd actually go and talk to them, instead of sitting on fucking Twitter or Facebook or wherever and talking shit and convincing yourself that, you know, people are just fucking idiots and then Putin fucking is this mastermind that, you know, that somehow fucking, you know, convinced, you know, millions of fucking people to not vote for a fucking war hawk because of you know, a kitten meme or a fucking meme where she's getting ready to box Jesus. You know, instead of doing that, why don't you actually go out and fucking talk to people? And ask them why they didn't vote for fucking Jill Stein. Or not Jill Stein, Hillary Clinton. Go ask them if they blame Susan Sarandon for the reason that the job that they had got shipped overseas. Go ask the people in Flint that have... I mean, it's what, 2-3 years that they've gone without fucking drinking water because the water is still poisoned. Go ask them if the reason that they voted for someone else was because, you know, I don't fucking know, because of Russians or Susan Sarandon or you know, fucking Jimmy Dore or some shit. Go ask them. Go ask the people that were at Standing Rock that got fucking sprayed and brutalized by, you know, by the police. And, you know, and Obama basically fucking ignored. I mean, the only statement he made was, you know, let's see how it plays out. Go ask them if the reason that they voted for somebody else other than fucking Hillary Clinton was because, Putin's fucking 13 Twitter fucking trolls. I know that you're convinced that everybody's a fucking moron and you're the fucking genius that understands the fucking truth. I know you're convinced of that, but if you actually go and fucking talk to people, if you take your head out of your ass for just a second, you realize that there are a gazillion fucking reasons for people to not vote for fucking Democrats and to have not voted for fucking Hillary Clinton. And not one of those reasons has anything to do with fucking Russia or Susan Sarandon or anybody else. Oh God, I've been talking for an hour. I'm gonna quit yelling at you guys. I'm gonna stop the podcast here because I am getting I'm getting sleepy, but I'm also getting fucking worked up. And I know if I don't take advantage of the fact that I'm getting fucking tired, if I don't take advantage of it now, then I'll be up even longer. So I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I hope you're having a good week thus far. I guess it's Wednesday now. You got a few more fucking days. All right. Just like always, don't take any shit and go fuck yourself. Peace.